Hey everybody, what is going on? Welcome to CheckpointAFK, the lifestyle brand of CheckpointXP, where we talk about everything surrounding gaming and the world beyond. I am your host, Norris Howard, along here with Chad Callahan, Callie Sloan, and Robbie Landis. What's up, everybody? What's cracking? What's going on? How's everybody feeling?
Well, we're not sick, so, got to take that as
alive.
That's good. Well, that's good. As you see, we are all still recording from home, as Michigan is still under a quarantine, stay-at-home order, and then it decided to fucking snow.
Yeah,
on April 17th. So
listen,
I post on my Twitter. It's terrible.
We've got idiots in the Capitol protesting. We've got snow falling in the middle of April. Truly, the end times are upon us.
It's a bad week for Michigan. It's a bad week for Michigan.
People out here really trying to bring on the apocalypse quicker.
Yep.
Oh, listen, I saw a pale horse ride down the street the other day. I think we may need to cool out a little bit. But usually at the beginning of the show, we always want to see if we got any reviews this week. So, Callie, do we have reviews? Is that a thing?
For the first time in 4 months, we have no new reviews.
Shut up.
Absolute filth.
Well, hold on now,
Trash.
because you know what? This is a chance for some of the new listeners that we just picked up. TM Leaf and not Bando or Bando, one of the two. In the chat there, this is your chance to step up. Go check us out on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever it is.
Wherever you get
and
podcasts.
YouTube as well.
Yeah, YouTube as well. Leave us a review, and maybe next week you guys can have your review featured right here at the beginning of the show. But for the rest of you, for shame.
For shame.
For shame.
Yeah, I'm really disappointed. So again, I will wax poetically about people's great reviews if they send them. If you don't send reviews, then I will say y'all ain't shit. So anyway, we will, talk a little bit more about that. But before we get into our main topic for today, I just want to put this out there. Good on Square Enix, because Final Fantasy VII is amazing.
Yeah, so this is the spoiler-free,
the best thing ever.
The spoiler-free quick thoughts on FF7. Oh my god, after 10 years, they finally got it right. Longer than 10 years, 15 years. What's it been since freaking Kingdom Hearts 1 came out? Like, that was the last time they put out a game that most people would say is genuinely great.
That might have been 2000 or 2001, I think.
Oh my god.
Something like that. 20 years.
Yeah, 20 years.
20 years.
We're so old. It's so great, though. Well done, Square Enix.
So
does anyone else, Robbie especially, I'm asking you this, does it make you feel vindicated in the years we spent on Limit Break Radio demanding better from Square Enix and not accepting mediocrity?
I mean, I don't know that all that we did contributed to it. I don't think that it should have taken them as long as it did to make something this good.
I know. I'm just saying, for a long time, people told us that we have to, like this is good.
That we have to
and
accept
we
it.
said, no, demand better.
Okay, yeah. In that case, sure, yes. Knowing that we weren't just like so far gone and so stilted that we were rejecting what was actually good.
Yep.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Square Enix, it's clear that 12, 13, and 15 were just, them trying out a series of systems so they could put them all in 7 and make 7 like a really great game.
Oh, I love the idea that 7 has been in the works for freaking 12 years, and no, we have to get the system right somewhere else first.
Guys.
You think it hasn't? You think it hasn't?
I have a real special thing I want to do right here on stream, actually. Hey, Katie, I bought Katie something yesterday, and it just showed up, so I wanted to do an unboxing here on stream for us.
Okay.
Oh, let's see
Katie,
it. Let's
Katie,
do it.
come here.
Robbie, if this is a sex toy, you're going to be in a lot of trouble.
Not. All right, you stand off to the side here, then.
I made a sex toy reference on your stream yesterday, Callie.
Did you tell her you got her an action figure?
Talk about sex.
No.
About sex toys all you want.
Stand right here.
You can't just show them on stream.
Come on. But they won't be able to hear your reaction.
Tell Katie I said come here, and we can see it.
All right,
guys.
you ready?
Oh god, I am so
pleasant
scared.
sounds. Ugh.
Ooh, that's a lovely. Ooh, okay. I don't love the ASMR.
Oh, it's the Wooloo.
Oh,
that's
adorable.
That's
Aww.
cute.
That's a nice pillow.
You trying to get points. He trying to get points. You was in the doghouse. What'd you do, Robbie?
I went in the doghouse. I ain't
week?
never in the doghouse.
What'd you do this week?
Not a damn thing.
He chastised her for eating too many pies.
Although no, okay, actually, funny story. So I've been telling her now for a while that, hey, you know, being quarantined, not having your commute to work, like you should do something to try and replace that. Because even if we don't look at the idea of driving to work as something fun or something that we need, it still breaks up your day. So I'm like, go for a walk in the morning or something. And she's like, no, I don't want to. Okay, well, at least change out of your pajamas into real clothes. You know, you're not going somewhere, just that small act does a lot for helping like switch on your mind. No, I don't want to. Okay, fine. Had a remote call with her therapist who told her all of those same things. She comes in afterwards and she's like, I should have listened to you. I'm like, yeah, that's right. You should have listened to me.
But Robbie, you're so right. Like one of the big things is, still put on your clothes that you would wear out of the house.
You need
Take
routine.
your shower in the morning.
Yep.
My big one is even if I'm not leaving the house, I put my shoes on. And even that makes my brain go, oh, we're getting ready to leave soon. And I feel better.
No, I will say,
wearing your shoes in the house is a big no-no.
It is in my house.
You get those new esports shoes.
I was gonna say I want those new esports shoes.
Okay, the
esports. Wear them in the
first
house.
First of all, they're K-Swiss, and I'm sorry I can't be caught dead wearing no K-Swiss out.
Oh no,
they gotta be house shoes because if I get caught, if I go back to the hood, okay, if I go back around my cousin them house and I'm wearing some K-Swiss, do you have any idea how much I would get, dog? I can sit back and talk about, oh yeah, these are K-Swiss. No, bro, K-Swiss is the type of shoes that girls wore when they was about to fight. It was black forces and K-Swiss. If you saw somebody with some K-Swiss on, somebody about to get jumped. But the whole thing is that they look cool, but I don't know. I would love to try them out, but you know, the K-Swiss brand, they just got too much. They got too much cachet to me.
They're indoor shoes for sure, definitely.
Indoor shoes. TM Leaf in the chat saying British Knights. Wow, a throwback.
What a callback.
Anyway,
that is.
We're gonna take a super duper quick break right here, and then we will be right back where we're gonna talk a little bit about China, and we're not gonna be talking about the coronavirus per se, but China has made a really crazy announcement. Reports are coming out about what they're about to do with video games. So make sure you guys come right back for more Checkpoint AFK.
All right, well then finally what I'd like to do is also get your initial thoughts on Echo so far. I know she's only in PTR and she might go through a few more changes before she hits live, but what are some of your initial impressions?
So when I first saw her, I had basically two impressions. It was she's busted as hell and she's gonna make the game better in a way because her kit is just absolutely insane. Like she has insane movement, which I think it's been nerfed a little on PTR, but I'm not sure how much more it'll get nerfed. I think when she releases for Al, she's going to be very heavily played. But I also think it's interesting because you look at her kit and it's just the movement, she just has so much in it. But then you look at a hero like McCree that's been around since the beginning of the game, and he has like a roll and a flashbang. Like, there's really not much there.
Hey, welcome back to Checkpoint AFK. Checkpoints brand, we talk about everything around video games and all that cool stuff. Make sure you guys also check all of our stuff out on YouTube. If you haven't, that's where we have all of our shows. CheckpointXP on campus. We have the Owl's Nest that Robbie Landis hosts along with Jake from the Overwatch League casting team. We also have a litany of all of our other, all our repository of content that you could go check out from years past. So make sure you go over to our YouTube. Just search Checkpoint XP on YouTube. Now, there have been multiple reports that China is about to make a big decision as it pertains to video games. Now, last year, they already made a big decision, pretty much limiting how much kids can play video games under the age of 18. They can't play past 10:30 p.m. It limits how much they can spend in microtransactions. Again, something that can only happen in China because you just can't do that in America.
But the free market.
the market. However, the coronavirus and COVID-19 has put a whole new layer on what's happening in China, and multiple reports are now saying that China is prepared to ban international online gaming. Ban altogether across the board.
So it first popped up actually on TaiwanNews.com, and I believe that this was sort of kicked off from Animal Crossing of all things. There was a person who was basically making, whether it was shirts or images in game to support the protests in Hong Kong. Those started to be disseminated all through online, and as a result, there were multiple Chinese retailers that basically pulled Animal Crossing from the shelves. And now, as a result, as you said, Norris, the first thing they're talking about doing is when it comes to chatting or forming any sort of groups with anyone outside of China, outside the Great Firewall, they're looking to stop that in its tracks. And going forward, they're also looking at banning or putting on lockdown and monitoring any online game, whether it is single player or multiplayer. And they're also looking, the new law will not allow for games with zombies, plagues, map editing, role-playing, as well as organizing unions in
What's left? What is left?
Just all video games at that point. Because to be perfectly honest with you, any online game has a grouping or guild system or clan system. So that pretty much writes off everything. Now, one thing I do want to make sure that we specify here is this does not ban that stuff inside of China. So if you are in China and you're talking to other people in China, these bans do not apply. But this harkens back all the way back to the Blitzchung thing that happened around Hearthstone last year, where Blitzchung won a Hearthstone tournament, went out and said, basically free Hong Kong, and it caused a whole mess that, game developers, Blizzard in particular, but game developers had to really start thinking very differently about how they do business in China, because China at any moment, because of their one-party government system, can flip a switch and say your game is banned. And that
Uh-oh. Well, Norris froze.
Oh, Norris!
Norris!
No! He's gone! I thought it was my internet.
Yeah, gonna go ahead and pick it up from there from him, though. Oh, wait.
Norris is back. Got that.
I'm back.
Got that that rocket fiber going on down in Detroit.
rocket fiber.
Got that Dan Gilbert internet, man.
Ooh, that was weird.
I thought it was my internet. I nearly panicked. I was like, great.
Anyway, as I was saying,
I believe says China got him.
China got to me. I was talking too much. China got me.
Yeah. So the last thing that we heard from you, Norris, is you had basically just started on your warning of basically game developers developing specifically for China.
Yeah, because at any point China can just flip a switch and say absolutely not, your game is banned, and that will destroy your revenue stream. If you look at Dota 2, if Dota 2 doesn't have their community in China and their community in Russia, what is that game? That game has no community.
It's gone.
So it's gone. So when you hear about stuff like this, and I immediately thought about Riot. I immediately thought about how much money they make in China with League of Legends, how much money that they probably weren't going to make with Valorant because of just all sorts of weird rules that China puts on violence in video games. But I look at all the money they make from League of Legends. I look at the Overwatch League.
How much they've invested in the Chinese teams. Yeah.
How many teams do they have? 4?
They do. They do.
Yeah. How does the Overwatch League continue when international online play has been banned, but that's the only way you can play a professional league right now?
I'm wondering if the difference is, though, if it's a professionally organized thing like Overwatch League compared to just casual gamers might be the difference. So I imagine it would have to be something Blizzard would have to set up with like China itself.
Well,
it'd be
especially
with Tencent if
Tencent on their side. Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, it probably is a conversation. It's probably something that they are working on. But again, if China just makes this decision clandestinely, that government does not care, dude. Like that's the part that I think, when it comes to the esports angle of this, that people are really going to have to start thinking twice about investing so hard into China. Yes, we know China is the second biggest market in the world. Yes, we know China has a lot of money to spend, and we know that they have a lot of investors. But if out of nowhere China can flip a switch and cancel your game, that's a investment so risky right now that I don't see why anybody would do it.
Well, it just goes to show you that going forward, if there was anyone who is specifically, relying on China to be like the big moneymaker, to be the thing that saves you, you can't make that investment. You need to bank on the rest of the world and then see if after the fact there's a way that you can adapt your game to be suitable in China, because obviously it is still a big market. If you can get it to kick off there, it's going to be worthwhile, but that cannot be at the top of your list.
Right. Well, we've already seen, for years, Riot has had to, change characters in League of Legends to make them suitable for China. Like Karthus looks nothing like he does in North America over in China, because you can't show a skeleton over in China, which is an interesting thing. I don't know why, but so I don't think you're going to see developers shy away from doing any business in China. I just
it's too big. The potential there is just too high.
I think you're just going to see them go bend over backwards to make their games work there.
Yeah, or push more money into China's economy so that they can do stuff like that. That might be the only exception.
But how do you bend over backwards for something when literally it's across the board? It is literally a wide brushstroke against all video games. So you have no map editors, you have no mentions of death, no mention of zombies, no mention of plague, no mention of. So if you have a character that has a poison move, okay, you got to go change that. If you got a zombie character, you got to change that. If you got a skeleton character, got to change that. If you every year China puts another barrier in front of game developers and in front of people who want to play video games, that at some point they got to look at it and say, you know what, man, why do we keep doing this?
Right.
1.3 billion people, that's why.
I was going to say, money talks.
Dude, I get it. But at some point, we just saw that because of coronavirus, China's economy stopped growing for the first time since the 70s. Okay. This whole thing is about this disease is about to change the economic situation in so many places that. And I'm not saying that this is true, but there's a possibility that China may just clamp down on all outside media and just say, we need to boost our economy, so the only video games you're going to be able to buy are going to be Chinese-made ones. Let's not front that China wouldn't do that, because they would.
Well, yeah, but you're also at that point not talking specifically about China. You're talking about the economy being in trouble. That's everywhere, So there are choices and decisions that are going to have to be made across the board, regardless of what China decides within their own border.
But China is one of the only countries that will close their country off to imports in the rest of the world in order to boost their own economy. We are not in America going to say, all right, to boost the economy, because we see that video games as a growth sector, that we are going to only play American video games. That is never going to happen in this country. It's never going to happen in pretty much any other country but China. So I think when we're looking at this whole situation, I know that money talks and bullshit walks. I get it. But I continue to be frustrated with how much China just doesn't want people to fucking play video games. It's irritating.
It is. And
so irritating.
The question is a pertinent one. At what point is enough too much already? Like, at some point, developers are going to say, you know what? We'll fight over the American dollar instead. Because that point is going to happen eventually. There does come a time where even you're like, you could make the argument like, oh, from an artistic standpoint, I don't want to change my game. That concept died 20 years ago. At this point, eventually, you're going to have a boardroom of investors who are going to say, well, that's a risky proposition. We don't have clearance that this game will run in China. We're going to pass on it. And until you start hearing that, they will continue to kowtow to China.
And I think also the other thing you have to keep in mind is those investors, when they're from China, you know, how deeply does Tencent have their fingers in their hands into everything? You know, if this was a decision that Blizzard was making, that Nintendo was making, that's one thing. But, you know, Tencent, it's within their best interest as well to make sure that this keeps flowing in one way or another, you know? And it's not like it's just turning off a switch somewhere, right? Because China usually is behind the rest of the world when it comes to game releases because of the changes that are being made. So I don't even know that we would see the effects of that on these developers immediately. You know, it probably wouldn't be for another year or two out when they would have normally been getting those games.
Yeah, and I mean, I see what you guys are saying, but for as much as Tencent is involved in the Chinese government as a Chinese company, at the same time, they were unable to get China to stop the youth ban and the spending limitations that the Chinese government put in place. So you can't tell me that a Tencent executive wasn't in the ear of some politician trying to make sure that didn't happen, because that cuts down on their revenue stream. Now, with an entire ban on online games, and we know Tencent is the #1 distributor of games in China, that is going to affect their bottom line. So
Sure.
As much as I think you're right, Robbie, that Tencent will try everything in their power to make sure that this does not happen, I don't think that they have enough power to get it to not happen. This, in my opinion, probably is probably a foregone
yes.
conclusion.
Yeah, no, I'm not trying to argue that Tencent could stop this, but the fact that Tencent is in China and video games is their business, I don't think we're going to get to a point where the rest of the world is going to say, all right, you know what, China's a lost cause, we're just washing our hands of it. Tencent has their hands too deep in those pockets for that to happen.
Well, call me weird, call me crazy, in the name of liberty and artistic freedom. I don't think I would personally release a game in China, flat out.
That's why your game is not going to get
developing
made.
a game.
But I'm not a game developer, and it is what it is. But we're going to take a quick break, and we alluded to it right quick, but we're just going to touch on esports and how this could affect the world of esports in terms of how they may have to modify in order to acquiesce to this particular rule. So make sure you guys stay glued. We're going to continue this conversation on more Checkpoint AFK.
Hey, what's up? I'm Robbie from CheckpointXP.
And I'm Jake from the Overwatch League casting team, and together, we're your hosts of the Owl's Nest.
With the Overwatch League up and running again, we'll be bringing you all the latest from the league and within Overwatch.
But it's important that we all do our part to flatten the curve by staying home during the COVID-19 outbreak.
So stay home,
Stay healthy.
and we'll see you every Friday night on the Owl's Nest before the Overwatch League weekend.
Check it out at the Checkpoint XP YouTube channel or at checkpointxp.com.
Hey, welcome back to Checkpoint AFK. We're having a conversation right now about the rumors that China is possibly closing off all international online gaming in response to essentially pro Hong Kong Animal Crossing shirts and artwork and all that type of stuff within that game. Animal Crossing has already been pulled off the shelves in many Chinese retailers, but esports is a thing, and it is a big thing in China. And we know that League of Legends and Overwatch are two of the biggest alongside Dota 2. The Overwatch season and the LPL for League of Legends are both going on right now. They have not necessarily stopped their play. LPL is a different story because it is a China-only league that may be going on without too much interruption.
But,
however,
I mean, would they get to compete at mid-season invitational or worlds or?
And that's the bigger question. So also Overwatch League is a completely international that how is this league going to continue playing the Chinese teams if all international video games are banned? So Robbie, as our Overwatch guy, you know, and you've been following all these teams, all these matches, and you know how hard it's been for the Chinese teams to even play in light of the coronavirus. What do you think happens right now if this ban goes through?
Well, best case scenario, I think that we actually see what's happening right now as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, where we start to get more of a League of Legends based sort of regionalized system. Currently the Chinese and the Korean teams basically are just playing themselves over within that region. If it got to a point where the Great Firewall was basically closed off, if something behind the scenes with Tencent couldn't be worked out to continue to allow that for the sake of the league, then I think you would see it basically prune down to just the Chinese teams. Unfortunately, that's just 4 teams at this point. I don't know how well that would work out, both for competitive integrity and for the viewing experience. At that point, I think that we'd probably see the Chinese teams maybe even moved out of China, which at that point, they're not even the Chinese teams anymore. It doesn't look good. It looks real ugly, and I don't know that there is any perfect or even preferable solution to that problem.
Yeah, I mean, they could move to Seoul, I guess, but I'm not sure how much travel is restricted in China or in South Korea. So that allows a whole different layer onto this. But Callie, you brought up a big point about League of Legends and the LPL in China, is that mid-season invitational is coming up very quickly here. First of all, how does China even participate if they even are allowed? I don't understand, how any of it could work.
Let me hazard a guess. Riot is 100% owned by Tencent. That's not any kind of secret. I'd be willing to bet, as much as, like you say, China does pull all the strings, I would be willing to bet Tencent probably has enough influence to be able to say, you have to let our players compete in League of Legends. Like, there'll probably be a short list of games or of people who are qualified to play these games, people who are licensed to compete. Right there,
yes.
Like a special license.
Because remember, the whole idea behind this banning and this surveillance is to basically, keep order, right? To know what's going on with your citizen. It's basically as Big Brother can get. So that's not to say that there couldn't be special circumstances where specific people are allowed out of the country to participate, on behalf of China, or that this isn't a perfect chance for the Chinese government, to levy certain taxes or certain sorts of fines in order to make this happen. Esports can still happen. It's just the restrictions around them are going to get a lot tighter and a lot messier.
And it's nothing we haven't seen in the past. I mean, think about, as far back as, what was that, the 60s, 70s, when they had the ping pong team that went over to China to compete over there. Again, Chinese teams weren't allowed to compete internationally at that time, so it was a big deal that they brokered this exhibition match between them. I'm picturing it's going to be kind of the same thing. The LPL champion will be allowed to go compete at MSI or at Worlds or something like that, but
for the
your
glory
average
of China.
person, yeah, exactly, for the glory of the country. And if they lose, they probably get shot on the way home. I don't know.
Oh, jeez.
I don't know, man. I don't know how that works. So if you're of a certain rank or importance, yes, you're allowed to play. But the rank and file average consumer, no, you do not get to go compete internationally.
But again, I think this still raises just so many, fucked up red flags and really.
Oh, absolutely, it does.
Really just terrible precedent because. When you're talking about growth in esports at a precipice right now, especially considering that everything is on lockdown, people are looking at esports for not just release, but for that competitive sort of energy. Las Vegas just announced that, European and American League of Legends is open for betting, that the Overwatch League is open for betting at the sports book. So you're about to see a lot of money get injected into these industries. You're about to see a lot of people get ready to spend a lot of fucking money on esports. And I think not having China there or having China continuing to be incredibly difficult with what's going on, I think is a scary precedent because imagine a situation of the Overwatch League where you're trying to bet on the Shanghai Dragons, who are playing as one of the best teams in the Overwatch League right now, that all of a sudden they can't go to the playoffs. Yep. What does that do for the integrity of your game, of your league? And so I understand what you guys are saying, that there could be special exceptions, and I really hope that that's the case. But how does that make a game community feel, especially in a game like Overwatch that is heavily dependent on their Chinese market? How does that make a populace feel knowing that they can't play this game with anybody outside of the country? I think that sucks. I think it could kill games, even big games. And I just think, yes, if I'm Tencent, I'm doing everything in my power. But I just don't know if this juice eventually got to stop being worth the squeeze.
Well, I think it will suppress the talent pool, first of all, in China. So over time, you're going to see Chinese esports teams become less talented because of it. Now, I mean, don't get me wrong.
Or on the flip side, it could be more talented because the ones that are really good are the ones that are going to be, they're only going to focus on the really good ones and not anyone who's any, subpar. Why would you focus on subpar?
Chad, the issues that you run into, first of all, even before this gaming ban, when you look at the restrictions that are being put on how long kids can play, they can't train as long or as well as what anyone else in the world basically can. And then when you take into consideration that now they also can't play outside of that region, now you start looking at basically you look at what's wrong with the LCS currently, right? Because we're not playing the Koreans or the Chinese as often, who are the better regions. We basically hit a ceiling when it comes to our skill gap. So even though, sure, the people who are the most talented might sort of rise up quicker, they can only go so high when they're not allowed to develop that talent beyond what they're being competing against.
To an extent, that's true, but it also depends on how serious China ends up taking it. I mean, think about the Soviet Union, right? Like, there were tons of restrictions on what you can do, but it didn't stop their hockey team from being, incredible. Like, they were unbelievable.
But another big thing, though, is that you have a situation in which TM Leaf has said that you have people start defecting specifically to play sports. Yep. So, I mean, we're here in Detroit, and we had a whole line on the Detroit Red Wings of Soviet defectors. All 5 of them.
The Russian 5.
The Russian 5, all 5 of them Soviet defectors. And so, I mean, to me, when you look at this type of situation where China could be clamping down, I mean, do you start seeing a situation in which Chinese players are defecting to Korea or defecting to the United States or anywhere else in order to play these games, because we're seeing now that people are trying to put forth legislation to make immigration for esports easier. If that happens, I think maybe you do see a couple Chinese players say, you know what, I can just go and be the best jungler in NA as opposed to not being able to practice in China and maybe never making it to the LPL.
It's definitely possible. I think what you are going to see is when it comes, like, China really does this at its own peril, because esports has shown that it's not going anywhere. It's just going to continue growing. And while they're clamping down and making everything harder, the rest of the world, as you alluded to with the esports betting and everything, is making it more accessible and easier to be a part of. Eventually, while China itself may be a huge market, the rest of the world combined will still be a bigger one.
Yeah, and maybe that's what ends up happening. But unfortunately, that's where we'll stop our conversation today. Really good conversation. It's not often we get to talk geopolitics. So you know me, I'm enjoying that. But that's going to be it for Checkpoint AFK. We hope you guys are back for our next episode.
Are we talking FF7 next week? Or is it the spoiler episode? Can we talk about it?
If I can finish it in time, yes.
Ain't no if you finish
it this weekend.
Are you streaming it tonight, Robbie?
Here's the thing. If I'm going to stream all of it, I can't guarantee that. Now, if I just play it and I'm not streaming all of it, then yes, I will have it beat in time.
That's fair.
But I feel like every time I stream it, people are like, oh, I hope he's going to be streaming for this part that's coming up. I want to see him play this part that's coming up.
Yeah.
So you can't be mad if you don't get to see me play the parts you want to see. That's all I'm saying.
Listen. All weekend the stream is yours. There you go.
I still have Overwatch to follow, man. So just keep that in mind.
I've got a job to do.
I'm still working over the weekend is the point.
I don't care. Watch the vibes. We're working too anyway. Who cares? Nobody cares. Stream the game and finish it. So next week, with or without Robbie,
that's fine.
We will do the spoiler but the spoiler conversation about Final Fantasy VII Remake, a conversation I am hype as fuck to have because I love that game. But that's going to be it for this week. Make sure you guys are back for that conversation next week. For Chad Callahan, Callie Sloan, Robbie Landis, I am Norris Howard, and we hope to see you guys back. Have a good one. Yay. And wash your hands.
Yes. All right.
Yeah, we finished it.
We
Good show.
Did it. Okay.
Good show.
We're still
Good
live,
show.
by the way, so.
No, I know. Good show.
Okay, yeah.
Let's see.
Pat
There's some
ourselves on the
comments.
back live. This is what we do after everybody.
There's
Look
some
behind the curtain.
comments here in the chat. Omega Welltall said they'll be what FGC calls basement kings. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, here's the thing though, is that China is so much better because of not just their population, but also just because of their culture, than many regions across the world. So yes, this may be something that takes 10, 15 years for us to really notice any difference. But yeah, if this goes through and this is what it is, and you're only playing other Chinese players, yeah, there's going to be a skill gap. China is going to fall off. Korea's just going to keep getting better, and the US is going to keep pumping money into it. And yeah, China's going to fall by the wayside.
Korea's going to keep getting better, and the US is going to keep poaching Korean talent and by proxy getting better. So,
well, and also look out for Europe, because Europe's going to keep pumping talent to, like, let's just be for real. Fun Plus Phoenix absolutely decimated G2, and G2 Esports probably through the better part of 2019 was hands down the best team in the world, period.
Probably, yeah.
Period. So if you take teams like that, knowing how good they are, and LEC is even more competitive this season, everybody's looking better. I mean, outside of LCS, in which Cloud9 just stomps everybody, but everybody's looking better. And so if China drains its own talent pool with a decision like this, I mean, at that point, you forget about esports on a global scale. You just forget about that.
Hey, Norris, for this weekend, what odds would I have to give you for you to bet on the field against C9 this weekend? Someone not named C9 will win.
The field against C9?
Yeah, what odds would I have? Like, if I gave you 10-1 odds, would you bet against C9 to win this weekend?
I need more.
Who else? It's only FlyQuest and
FlyQuest and Evil Geniuses. It's
and Evil Geniuses.
One of those
one
three
of
teams
them's
will
going
win this
against it.
week. Yes, it'll be one of those 3 teams this week.
I need bigger. I need more.
100 to 1
Like,
odds.
FlyQuest. I'm
100
gonna
to
say
1.
I don't see FlyQuest
And-
making it.
Yeah,
At least 100 to 1.
Okay.
There's no way I could take a 10 to 1 bet on that.
All right. I'm just wondering where the number's at because yeah, I think EG beats FlyQuest and then gets stomped by C9.
And they get stomped
I
in
was gonna
straight.
say.
Yeah. In straight games. It's gonna be weird. I'm almost more excited for the game tomorrow than I am about the final.
Yeah,
And
me
you know
too.
what?
That the one might be competitive.
Is League?
Go
I was gonna say, is League part of the esports betting now, or was I can't
Yeah.
remember? I know CS:GO.
In the LCS.
LCS.
Yes.
So, okay, come on. The one problem I have with League then being part of this, at least in the North American side of things, is like
I'm sorry.
there's no betting.
It's on.
Like,
it's on.
you know
Dra-
who's gonna win.
It's on DraftKings. It's not just in sportsbooks yet. No.
Oh, okay,
I think it
okay.
is-
I was about to say,
Yeah.
they have some room to get some better teams in there before betting is even feasible because
Well-
everyone's just gonna bet on Cloud9 and like there's no real.
Oh no!
I don't know. There's no
But
real
let's say it
moves.
does happen. Let's say it does happen, and the one asshole who bet on Evil Geniuses walks away with $100K because he put $1,000 bet on.
All right,
Evil
that's
Geniuses.
fair.
That's
All right,
the
Yeah,
thing.
see, that's what you have to think of, Chad, is that not everyone is going to go for the sure thing because that's not how you make the quick money.
And remember,
I
like
guess.
odds makers' goal is just to get an even number of people to bet on either side. That's all they care about because they're going to make their money on the rake. They're going to take 1% of every bet and make their money on that. So their goal is to have $100,000 bet on one side and $100,000 bet on the other side.
Gotcha.
Yep.
All right,
No,
well,
that's how it's gonna work. So
I guess it happens with football and the
it's a-
Patriots a lot too. So
Right. Well, and
Oh, dude, do you know how many? You know how much people bet against the Patriots?
Well,
or not anymore because Tom
their
Brady's
attempt
gone.
to.
and
yeah.
football gets around it by putting a point spread on there. They say, sure, you can bet on the
Exactly.
Patriots, but the Patriots have to win by 7.
Yep.
Got it.
Yep,
Gotcha.
yep.
That's kind of clever. Okay, I
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
how they handle it in
So I
football. There's
wonder-
no
I
good
wonder-
analog for that in esports, though.
I wonder how could you? I was about to say. I wonder how could you do a point spread in esports? You could probably do it in CS:GO because that's a round.
You could do it in CS:GO. It'd be wonky, but you could. You could do it in Rocket League.
Yep, absolutely.
Spreads ruin it according to Zod TV. But I think that's the only way you could do it in some cases. Is
Well,
through
in
these
football,
Well, in
yeah.
Rocket League and in CS:GO, that's the only way you could do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it'd be wonky in CS:GO too because like the minimum a spread could be would be 3 because you always win by 2 in CS:GO. You can't
gotta
win by
win
1.
2, yeah.
with
You can do
kills.
it by kills. Yeah.
You could do it.
Oh, okay.
You
Oh,
could
that's
do
clever.
it with kills, but again,
think of
like that'd be like betting the over/under in basketball. You're just betting on how many points are scored. You're not betting on who's gonna win. But you can do that.
Which is still like with League specifically that would be something I'd rather do than be like, yeah, I'm gonna bet against Cloud9.
Yeah, I see. Betting the over/under on total kills in League would be super interesting because the game can end by a scoreline
Yeah.
of 5-2, or it could end.
You can have
40 to 30.
or 13.
Yeah.
I was about to say, like, I've
Makes
seen
it even
Cloud-
more interesting then.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This-
No, you could have some interesting.
That
interesting
would, like-
You could do it by 5, so you could do 0 through 5, 5 through 10, or 6 through 10, and so on and so forth.
You can have an absolute clown fiesta that ends in 16 to 10,
yeah.
and
If you're
that's
watching the
just how it
Chinese
is.
region, you probably will. They are bloodthirsty.
Oh, dude, Cloud9 against FlyQuest. I think game 2 was a stupid scoreline like that.
Betting's
or super
allowed
kill
in
line
Vegas
like
and Jersey, I think it is, and I think
that. Vegas and New Jersey.
Vegas and New Jersey, and I think Michigan's working on it now.
Yeah, I don't know how the
Well,
online
no,
part works with
Michigan.
that, though.
Michigan has sports
Michigan
betting.
allowed it. Michigan just allowed sports betting.
We don't have esports
So-
betting
Yeah.
yet.
Esports
But I think it's
betting.
probably coming. If they just did that, that's probably a precedent for the next leap, especially since there are no sports right now.
But you can do DraftKings
but-
anywhere if you just want to draft an esports fantasy team. You can just do that on your phone. So
Yeah.
California, I'm not sure about California.
no, not to my
California
knowledge.
super liberal. I'm surprised you can even gamble.
Are there casinos? Are there Are there private or publicly owned casinos in?
I have no
I don't
idea.
think so.
Because
couldn't
usually
tell ya.
a lot of states, the only ones that have are like Indian casinos.
Yeah. Native casinos.
Yes.
Do they? But yeah, I guess. I was gonna say, like, do they do they have their own term for those types of casinos? Because I don't know.
I don't know what the term would be.
I don't know if they have their own terms for that.
Because you can do those because it's on
curiosity.
You can do that because it's on a reservation and they can make their own laws about gambling, right? That's why that works.
Yeah.
Okay.
You could be younger, yeah. Because there's one over here near Central. What was that one? Turtle Creek or something like that? Turtle Beach?
What is it?
I can't remember.
What is a sandbar casino? Does that mean
You
like
mean the Sand Bear Dunes? Oh, the Bear Sand Dunes?
No,
No, it's
something?
Turtle something in Central, but I don't remember.
What's it?
I'm surprised Robbie doesn't know it.
Is it okay? I'm just gonna levy a guess before I see the answer. A sandbar casino means you sail out to international waters and you can gamble there. That would be my guess as to what that means.
Probably.
The casino up at Central is Soaring Eagle.
Yeah, that's
Soaring
it.
Eagle?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm thinking Turtle Creek or something like that in
Turtle Creek, that sounds like a
Michigan.
golf
Northern
course.
Michigan. That's Northern Michigan. Never mind. Sorry, I'm thinking of
Oh,
different.
Biloxi, Mississippi.
Sorry, my bad.
Okay, well, probably not international waters in Mississippi, so my guess is not right.
But yeah, so I think this will make things very interesting. Last thing before we leave out, Callie, who do you think gets MVP, Sven or Blabber? It's really only between them two.
I know. I don't know if I'm supposed to announce because I actually cast a vote for MVP.
I know you got to vote. I wouldn't say tell. I won't say don't reveal your vote.
That's the issue. So
you get
Checkpoint
vote.
was given a vote on the MVP this year, so props to us. That's sweet. I'm not gonna say who I cast my vote for. I don't think I'm allowed to until it's announced. I think it has to be announced before I can say who I gave my vote to. But I will say it was between Sven and Blabber in my mind. So
Yeah. I really want Blabber to win it just because he came out of Academy.
I also put Vulcan on there too. Vulcan was one of my top 3.
Unsung hero, Vulcan.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I think that's gonna cost him the MVP ship. I think by being that unsung
just because
hero.
he's a support.
It sucks, but like I think it's really uncommon for supports. You know what? I guess a few supports have won. Core JJ, I think, won.
Core JJ's won it, yeah.
But then again, Core JJ is a god, so you know.
Yeah. No, I mean it is what it is. But it's like, has a closer ever won MVP in baseball? Probably not.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
It's like
if it was probably Mariano.
Yeah.
And he's never won an MVP.
It's like, pitchers sometimes win MVP, but it's not super common because they only play every 5th day. Closers, though, are very important. I don't...
Verlander won an MVP, I believe.
Yep, he did. And that's the thing, closers, they can win you a lot of games, but it's a relatively recent role. They've only been around since, the late 80s, early 90s. I don't know if
the 80s, yeah.
I don't know if anyone's ever won an MVP as a closer.
Yeah. But anyway, guys, that's gonna be the stream for today. Robbie, are you playing some FF today?
Yes, it won't be right after this, but I will be back later for some FF7.
All right, so make sure you guys hit that follow button so you can get your push notifications for when Robbie plays a little bit of FF7 Remake. That's gonna be it for the rest of us today. We're out of here. Stay safe.
Norris, to answer your question, 4 closers 3 have won MVPs. 4 have won Cy Young.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay, quick one. Who won?
We've got Sparky Lyle. He won Cy Young. Raleigh Fingers, Willie Hernandez, and Dennis Eckersley.
Sure.
Okay.
No one since 1992. No one in my lifetime has.
About to say.
Well,
Raleigh
one has.
Fingers and Eckersley, I get, but yeah. Okay. All right. Fair. All right. See you guys later.
Deuces.